Alicia or Angela, if you'll hit record.
You are being recorded.
All right. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our workshop this morning. Today is really going to be focused on the actual Arizona Gives system itself. We have Jenna here with us from Civicor, as many of you know, but their new name is now Neon One. And Neon One and Civicor joined forces about 2 years ago or so. And what you're going to see today is actually a culmination of all of the efforts of their different technology platforms and finally coming together into our Giving Day platform. And you're going to actually, in the next year or so, start to see additional enhancements and additions to this. But I want to welcome Jenna. I've been working with her now for a couple years for our Giving Day. So she is our go-to person. So I'm going to let Jenna talk just a little bit about her background and what she does, and then we'll get into the workshop and to all the information that you guys need.
Great. And I have a slide on this actually. So thank you, Jennifer and team. And thanks for having me today. I'm excited to kind of be able to walk you through a lot of the new stuff. So if you've participated in Arizona Gives before, you'll notice some changes. If you're brand new, then this will be a good kind of orientation for everyone. But my name's Jenna. I'm a strategic account manager at Neon One. And like Jennifer said, Neon One is the technology partner that sort of plays a lot behind the scenes in terms of the Arizona Gives platform. So we collaborate a lot together to help bring the vision and kind of mission to life at arizonagives.org. So just wanted to kind of introduce myself there. Good to move ahead, Jennifer, just kind of go through?
Yeah, you're good.
Great. So I did want to mention that we'll save some time for Q&A at the end. So definitely feel free to jot down questions as you have them. Arizona Gives team, please also feel free to interrupt me at any point if you see a question in the chat that you'd like me to pause and kind of answer right then and there. But, I kind of wanted to start off this workshop with a quote that I really like. What lies behind us and what lies before us are but tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And so, obviously 2020 has brought along a lot of new challenges and a whole lot of change, and change is hard. But what I like to think is that change is what really creates opportunity. And so we're kind of going into 2021 looking at it as a year full of opportunities. So again, whether you're joining for the first time or you participate every year, today's orientation is really meant to provide you with some of the fundamental like knowledge and nuts and bolts understanding of the system, so you know what kind of tools are at your fingertips to help tell your story on your profile and really to help make your campaign a success. So thank you again for joining. Coming back to a high level, just agenda of what we'll go through. First thing is logging in and single sign-on. So as you know, back in the fall in November, we sort of upgraded the login for the system. So I'll just do a quick overview of that. And then we'll go into just a high level overview again of what the system does. And there's kind of two applications that work together now. So when you log in, it's actually two sort of fully integrated software systems that are working together to provide that cohesive Giving Days experience for you. And then after we'll talk about what we're going to go through, we'll actually dive into the system and I'll log in as a nonprofit user, just like you, with an example profile to kind of put everything, to kind of connect the dots on everything there. And then we can call out any important dates, and then of course, Q&A at the end. So jumping into logging in and the single sign-on, again, if you've logged in at any point since November 10th of last year, this is sort of already taken care of, but I just wanted to call out that if you have not logged in since November 10th, you will need to recreate your login credentials, which really all that means is you need to set your password up again. And I guess anytime a new user is added to the system moving forward from here on out, every time a new user gets added, they'll receive an email that will allow them to set their password up for the first time as well. So this email on the left is sort of that initial welcome email. So you would just click create password, and then ultimately you'll jump to a screen that allows you to set your password. There is a caveat that for security purposes, this create your password button or the link, those are only valid for 24 hours after the email is sent. That's sort of standard security practice in the tech industry. It helps reduce the chance of like unwarranted logins. Pretty rare, but we like to take all the security precautions we can. So if you do happen to click that link after 24 hours, you'll receive this on-screen notification that the link has expired. So all you need to do is enter your email address and click send password reset email. You'll get a new email and you'll sort of start that 24 hours again. So, no harm, no foul. It happens all the time. So just if you ever need to reset your password, you can trigger the email to yourself and then you'll have the links to easily set your password again. So that is kind of the single sign-on. Jumping into the next portion, I wanted to give a quick kind of bird's eye view of the two applications. So we refer to them as Giving Days application. You'll see it also called Arizona Gives. And then we have Raise, which is sort of a sister application. And we'll go through what each of those do. So on the Giving Days side, you'll see your dashboard, your public profile, your Arizona Gives Day profile. You'll be able to still see a full list of your historical donations. This is where you can manage your users. And then additionally, you have a toolkit area. And then coming soon is sort of additive will be a resource center. So between the toolkit and the resource center, you'll have a lot of information kind of right at your fingertips in terms of important dates and information about the day, graphics you can use, fundraising strategies and best practices, and also access to system support. And we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. And so what is the other side of it? So Raise is kind of really the bulk of what is new or additive for 2021. So Raise is really meant to be kind of a lightweight, like donation management and peer-to-peer fundraising platform. Super lightweight kind of CRM type of concept. So you'll be able to see some visualizations of your data, how you're tracking against goals. There is some reporting functionality that's a little more advanced than what we've had in the past. And then of course, peer-to-peer fundraising, which we'll get into in much more detail, but there are some new features and functionality there that we think will allow you to really expand your experience with this sort of functionality and also really help grow your Arizona Gives campaigns. So kind of without further ado, I want to jump into the system and kind of show you around as a nonprofit organization so you have a sense of what you'll be working with. And so here we are on the Arizona Gives login screen, and I'll go ahead and log in. Okay, so logging in as a nonprofit, my name in the example is Bonnie Example, but you'll see a lot of what you're familiar with if you've been a part of Arizona Gives before. And so this is your Giving Days application. And you'll know that you're in the Giving Days side because of the logo up here in the left-hand corner. But to kind of orient you to what you're looking at, we have what we refer to as Giving Day Performance Dashboard. So you always land on your dashboard. There is a call out, an announcement that's announcing the system updates and the addition of Raise. We have important dates that the Alliance will update, and it's kind of a visual way to know what's upcoming. You can click on a particular balloon and see additional information if there is any. And then down here at the bottom, we have what we call fundraising effectiveness widgets. So this allows you to kind of plan out, in this case, talking about Arizona Gives Day specifically, your goals. So do you have like dollar amount goals and also number of donation goals for things like overall for your event goal? Maybe for the early giving period specifically, you want to set specific goals around how much of your overall goal are you hoping to raise during that early giving time? And of course, for peer-to-peer fundraiser donations and matching grants as well. So clicking any one of these update goals will bring up all of the goals you can set. So you'll see you can kind of put dollar amounts and number of donations. If you participated last year, you should see your information from last year to help you gauge that goal setting process for this year. Coming into the profile area of the system, you'll see on this page a lot of the overview or basic information type of things. Clicking Edit Organization Profile will allow you to edit a lot of the sort of core information about your organization, your logo, your the contact information and address that should show on your profile, agreeing to the terms of service, all of these things that are sort of the fundamental knowledge that we collect to not only determine and reconfirm eligibility each year, but also to start building out your profile. So things like, the type of services you provide, counties where you work. We have down at the bottom some more like narrative type of things, your mission statement, a more about us section, testimonials if you have them. And then additionally, I wanted to call out this critical needs messaging. So of course, as we know, COVID-19 is still very much a part of our lives, and it continues to impact our organization. So if you want to add sort of like an alert to your profile, you can do so here. That really just helps any specific needs that are new or critical or urgent. You can add this here and it'll make it front and center on your profile. So that's kind of the overview tab. I'll quickly run through the other tabs as well, just to give you a sense of what is there. The programs and designations is a way for you to really detail out the different programs your organization may have. So maybe you have a youth mentoring program and an adult mentoring program, or maybe one-on-one mentoring versus group mentoring. Just, however you sort of segment your organization, it allows you to kind of list those out, and these would list on a tab on your public profile as well. And you also have the ability to choose to show this program as a donation designation option during checkout. And so what that means is when a donor is making a donation to your organization, they can choose to sort of encourage that their donation goes to this particular program. I guess I do want to mention that technically, all of the donations that you raise on Arizona Gives are unrestricted funds, general operating support, however you'd like to think about them. So even though a donor may select to designate their donation to a particular program, it's important to know that that really is just like an encouragement or a suggestion, like a request from the donor. But all of the monies that come through Arizona Gives are in fact unrestricted funds. So you can use these buttons here to, show it as a donation designation or not. And you can also hide it from your public profile or show it. So this can be helpful if you maybe have past information that you don't want to delete. You can simply hide it from the profile, keep that historical data. Multimedia is a way for you to add additional images as well as videos to your profile, and they will show on sort of the main landing page of your profile. So not necessarily reiterations of your logo, but if you have maybe pictures from volunteers in the field or any other good images that just help to beef up your profile and make it more visually appealing. Events are a way for you to highlight upcoming events that your organization may be having. So maybe this is an annual gala that's coming up. Maybe they are volunteer recruitment events or volunteer opportunities. Really anything that is considered an event. It could be a virtual event as well. So you have the ability to kind of add a lot of information about these events. Choose the event date, if there's a start and end time, whether or not it's a virtual event. If it's not virtual, it will ask for the address, an event link and more details. So this is important because you have the ability to link out to an external URL. So maybe you're collecting registration forms on your website or something like that. You can link out to either more information or a sign-up form, really whatever you need. And then you can choose whether or not to publish contact information for this particular event. And so all events that are upcoming, which means that they are today or they're happening in the future, will show on your profile on Arizona Gives, as well as a new dedicated search page for all events. And I can show you those on the website here shortly. Volunteer opportunities is very similar to events, except it is exactly what it sounds like, opportunities for donors to get involved. So you'll see that the form is very, very similar. You give it a name, you can determine if it's in person or virtual, if there's an age minimum, description for the opportunities, and of course, location or another link to link externally if needed as well. Similarly, all of the upcoming volunteer opportunities will be listed on your profile, as well as compiled across the site for all organizations into a dedicated search page. Needs is also a new tab as of a few months ago, but this is a way for you to really highlight some of what your specific needs are. So when you add a need, you can choose a category, give it a name, describe what you're looking for, a link, of course, with more details if they need it, a drop-off address if it's sort of in-kind support that people can drop off, and then just basic information about, do you want to publish contact information and that sort of thing. Same deal, if you add needs, they will list publicly on your profile unless you unpublish it. Or you can delete it, but you have the option to sort of keep things in the system without deleting them. Moving right along, we have donation levels. So donation levels are meant to be sort of suggested donation amounts. So when a donor lands on your donation form, if you don't enter any donation levels, it would just ask the donor the amount that they'd like to give. If you enter donation levels, they will appear as sort of clickable options, like preset, pre-recommended donation levels that the donor can choose. The donor will always have the ability to enter their own amount. So this is sort of optional if you'd like to use it. One way to think about it is like, trying to explain what a certain amount of money means for your organization. So maybe, $100 would, feed a pet for 3 months, or something like that. So it starts to correlate a dollar amount to the impact that the donor can have. So that's kind of the thought behind why those are there. Documents are a way for you to upload some of your financial information. So, 990, keeping that current, as well as any kind of designation letter or other documents you'd like to keep. Some financial information is required as part of having an up-to-date and complete profile, but these documents are not listed publicly on your profile. So you can also use it as a sort of, a warehouse for yourself if you need to keep track of your important documents. And then donation distributions are, this is also new, but the Alliance will be uploading distribution histories so that you can come to one simple place and see sort of row by row a summary of each distribution that you've received from funds that you've raised on Arizona Gives. So that is kind of the profile. I'm going to quickly jump over to the front end public website so you can kind of see some of these things in play. So when you're on Arizona Gives, this is my example profile. You'll see logo, if you have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website, if you enter those, they'll appear. And then you kind of see these different tabs again that really mimic the back end where you're managing that content. So, mission statement, these are the multimedia images, and you can upload as many multimedia as you'd like. It will only show eight little thumbnails here, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 2 rows of 4, but you would be able to click into it and scroll through a type of like carousel of images. So you can upload more than 8. If you have fundraisers, fundraising pages set up for your organization, it would show by default 2, and you also prompt the donors to add them. And then the more about us, testimonials, and then some basic information about your organization. So again, programs that you have showing on your profile would show here and allow the users to click and see more information. The same with events, as well as volunteer opportunities and your needs that you have entered. And so that's kind of how this back end correlates to the front end. Oh, the last thing I wanted to mention, this orange alert message here, that is that COVID-19 alert message. So if you enter any sort of statement there, it will show here. If you leave it blank, this alert simply won't show. So it's up to you whether or not to include that. Coming back in to the profile and going through here, the My Donations is sort of a historical list of every single donation that has ever processed on Arizona Gives for your organization. So if you've been participating for 5 years, you'll have 5 years worth of data here. There are some basic filters if you want to filter by date or whether or not a donation is a Gives Day donation, and you can export. Over here on the right, there's an export button to quickly get that into Excel if you need to use that in another platform. Also, here is a list of recurring donations. So if a donor has set up a recurring donation to give $50 monthly or quarterly or something like that, you would see a list of those donations here. My users is where you can sort of keep track and manage the people who have access to your profile. So you can add a new user, and you can also manage settings for existing users. Also for Arizona Gives, we have different contact types for the various users. So you can indicate, who is your finance contact, who is your primary contact, that sort of thing by clicking these buttons. And lastly, we have Toolkit. So this is something that probably seems familiar to you if you've seen it before, but it is a whole host of information and helpful information that can help make your campaign a success. So I would suggest scrolling through here and seeing what is pertinent and what is helpful for you as you think about planning your day. So that sort of comprises the giving day side of things. So now we're going to move into raise. And so something you may have noticed up here in the upper right-hand corner is this 9-dot icon. We also sometimes refer to it as the waffle. It kind of looks like a waffle. But it's similar to something like Google, where you log into one account and then you have access to Gmail and your calendar and G Drive and all of those things. This is really getting to be a similar concept where you log into one place and then clicking this waffle will give you sort of a list of all of the apps that you have access to. So if you click Raise, it's going to open in a new tab. And I think this is a part of, so they're doing this sync live this morning as of about an hour and a half ago. But when you click that link, you will not be required to log in again. Okay. So again, you'll see when you click to raise, it opens in a new tab. This is helpful because you can easily kind of toggle back and forth between the two and sort of keep them separate. And again, the icons in the tabs themselves will help orient you to where you are. Are you in raise or are you in the giving days side? So again, I can go through kind of a quick tour of this sort of new part of the platform, which is really exciting. So again, you have a dashboard here. This is going to start showing you historical information. So, what are the total number of donations that you've ever received, total amount of donations, number of donors. There's new information here, these key performance indicators that are going to automatically calculate using all of the historical donation information that you have. So you can hover over these help icons to see an explanation of how that number is being calculated. And you can also change the view to look at different timeframes, quarterly, yearly, that sort of thing. Again, donor retention kind of numbers. How many new donors do you have? How many retained donors, reactivated, lapsed? And again, hover over any of these help icons for more information on what each of those means. But what we're really excited to start offering is just more options for working with your data. So historically, we've really only been able to show a list of your donations with the ability to filter and export. What we're building on here is a way for you to start visualizing, what does that mean? Like, am I doing well? Am I doing better than last year? Am I meeting my goals? So just, more ways for you to use the data that you have to be more effective fundraisers overall. And so I'll jump into the donations area up here. And what you'll notice is that this is really mimicking the donation part of the system that you're used to in the giving days side. So what's important to note here is that, this is a snapshot of your data. Eventually, all of your data will be living here, all of the donation data. But there's a couple new things, but for the time being, until development is sort of fully complete and the imports and syncs are all totally complete, you'll be able to see the donations in both places. But, looking in here, you can search by a particular donor. And you can actually click into a particular donor's record. So this is also additional feature that we haven't been able to offer previously, which is great. So, you can dive into a specific donor and see their donation history, average donation, how, annually, how much on average are you receiving from this donor? their address and contact information. So it's another layer of being able to look at your donations and also your donors now. So of course, just like looking at donations, you can also just see a list of all of your donors. So if you need to look for someone in particular, you can come in here. But same sort of deal. This file icon over on the right will allow you to export to Excel or CSV, same as always. So the donations and the donor and the ability to drill into a particular donor is really what's new. Reports, these will probably be fairly self-explanatory, but it's, again, we want to provide more ways for you to interact with your data and really understand what's happening. So when you click a certain report, you can choose things like a year, click Run Report, and it will give you sort of an on-screen visualization of that information with some simple graphs, and again, counts, whatever the report you've pulled is meant to display. So the last piece, and maybe the heftiest piece of Raise that offers a lot of new opportunities for you are campaigns. And so I want to take a moment and kind of pause around the terminology for campaigns and fundraiser pages and, you know, the peer-to-peer pieces. So historically, we have referred sometimes to the peer-to-peer pages, like when a supporter makes a page to fundraise on your behalf. We have at times in the past referred to that as a campaign. That's sort of shifting moving forward. So we're going to continue calling those pages themselves. The terminology of campaign is kind of elevating to more of a concept. So the campaign that's here, it's called Gives Day, but this is really your Arizona Gives campaign. So anything that happens, all of the donations, all of the peer-to-peer pages, sort of everything that happens on azgives.org, whether for Arizona Gives Day in the spring or 365 days a year, all of that will be organized under this Gives Day campaign. So when we click in here, again, you'll have sort of a high-level overview of the historical information all time from Arizona Gives. You'll be able to see donations, again, a quick list of all the donations. And then, of course, this is where the peer-to-peer fundraising management happens. So when you're in the campaign section, you click into the campaign itself. And then here's the peer-to-peer fundraising area. So first we'll come into the fundraising pages tab. This is really a list of all of the fundraising pages that have ever been made for your organization. So when someone goes to azgives.org and they click create a fundraiser, that user will be creating a page for your organization that will ultimately get stored here. You, as the nonprofit, also have the ability to create fundraising pages if you need to. However, it's probably more likely that if you are directing donors to azgives.org, you're most likely just sending them to your profile page. So, you know, you're going to send a donor to either your profile page where they have the donate button here, or maybe you even take it a step further and you direct people right to the donation form for your organization. So whichever one you choose, you kind of simply copy that URL. And that is where you would, that was what you would use to link people to jump to Arizona Gives, but right to your own profile. So if you create a fundraising page, and one example I like to use for a fundraising page is, you know, maybe there's an unanticipated need that your organization has come up with, or it can be a way to segment your donations. So if maybe you have two different avenues that you're marketing, and one you could be marketing to a fundraising page, and one you could be linking supporters right to your general profile page. And because donations that come through fundraising pages get tagged as being from that fundraising page, it allows you to start to track where exactly the donation was coming from. Was it through just your general page, or did it come through like a dedicated effort or a fundraising page that you've created here? So when you click a fundraising page, you can enter a title. And you'll really start to see over here on the right, the live preview of what your page is going to look like. So this is sort of real-time type of thing. You can enter your monetary goal. How much would you like to raise through this fundraiser page? You can add some kind of image if you'd like to do that. We'll just use the same image here. And then, of course, telling your story. So this is really the, why. Why are you making this page? What is the ask? When someone comes here, it's your appeal to the donor. And so when you're making these pages, you can save it as a draft, which means it's not published. You can come back to it later, or you can save and publish right away. So if you save as a draft, you'll come here and you'll be able to easily see that your page is in draft mode. You can quickly publish it. Anytime you're taking actions in this fundraiser area, it'll continue to alert you. So it's like, are you sure you want to publish your page? So we're trying to make it very clear that you know what you're doing when you're clicking these various buttons. And so your fundraiser URL. So after your page is published, you'll be able to see the actual URL of your page here. If you'd like to edit the URL, you simply come in here and do save URL. And then this is the URL that you would be sharing out to direct donors to this fundraiser page. There's always back to fundraising pages up here at the top, which will bring you back to the list of all of your fundraising pages. And you'll see the one I just created here. You can see the status of any of these pages, whether they're in draft, whether they're published. You have the ability to deactivate a page. So if at any point you'd like to stop that page from appearing publicly, or in the very unlikely chance that someone creates a page for your organization that just simply isn't helpful for whatever reason, you always have the ability to come in here and sort of deactivate that page. And deactivating the page will mean it's immediately unavailable from the site, so it'll be unpublished. The creator will no longer have edit access. So if you're deactivating a page on behalf of a donor, it'll remove their ability to change that page. However, you can always reactivate a page as well. So once a page is deactivated, you have the ability to reactivate as well. So those are sort of the individual fundraising pages. That's similar to what we've offered in the past, but we've really sort of beefed up the creation process and tried to make it a lot more user-friendly and intuitive. So when you're building the page, you can see the changes happening and you can really start to see what the page will look like. But the other very exciting part of the peer-to-peer pages are templates. And so templates are brand new this year. And what are they? Templates are fundraiser pages that are preloaded with details that you can send out to your network so they can start raising money faster. What that means is that you can create templates for, say, your board members, or maybe you want to enable people to donate their birthday, and to fundraise, and in lieu of gifts for a birthday, they can fundraise on behalf of your organization. So you can start to create these types of templates that you can then email out to your supporter list, they'll receive an email saying that, your organization has shared a template. There's a button in the email that they click. And really what that takes them to is that page where they would be editing their fundraiser page, but it's pre-populated with all of the information that you've set up in the template. So it really streamlines the process for them and takes the guesswork out of it. So if we look at one of these, for example, so donating your birthday to a nonprofit, it's becoming a more common type of thing. You've probably seen similar things happening on Facebook. But we have a way to take advantage of that same sort of thing just through azgives.org instead. So again, creating a template, this is, I'm donating my birthday to, example, animal rescue. Think about this as being generic enough for anyone who might want to donate their birthday. Maybe you set a goal, upload the image. You can tell a simple story. And you can save the templates. So the templates are not available anywhere unless you share them out. So when you first create a template, you'll be prompted to share it, but you can always share later. And so you can sort of make as many templates as you need, but clicking these three dots and you'll see the share option. And so really what you do here is start putting in a comma-separated list of emails that you'd like to share this template out to, and you can click share. And then those two individuals will receive that email letting them know that a template has been shared, and they can take action to kind of set up that page quickly and easily. What I like to suggest is that you can create a template and then share it to yourself to sort of see how the process goes. And that'll make it really easy for you to explain how it works to other folks. Thinking about other uses for templates, this could also be a way to segment your supporters into, maybe you have a template for volunteers or volunteers for a particular program or event. Again, your board members, maybe even your staff members, any sort of group that you work with that could benefit, and you can sort of get their foot in the door with fundraising and really take the first few steps for them so they kind of know what it is and they're more inclined to accept. When something's easier, more people will be inclined to do it. So those are kind of the new features around peer-to-peer. When you see P2P, it's peer-to-peer fundraising, sort of what this whole vertical is called. But that's really how the system is set up to enable you to succeed. So fundraising pages, as always, you can create them for yourself as your organization. We would encourage you to encourage your donors and supporters to create them as well. If people have created pages for your organization in the past, they could be good targets to reach out and ask if they're willing to set up another page for 2021. And then maybe see if they could each recruit a friend to do the same. So those are some ideas around, who should be creating these fundraising pages. But I think I will pause there to see if we have some questions. Let's see.
Jenna, we did have one, and I think I answered it, but the question was whether we have physical or mailing addresses for organizations. And actually, we are in the process right now of adding the physical mailing address. Historically, we have only requested billing address because we didn't have a need for it otherwise. So we will be having both of those. So when the donor checks out, they'll be able to check a little box that says, is the billing address the same? And if not, then they'll fill out the billing information. So we are adding the physical and mailing address. So what you are currently seeing in the system right now is a billing address. It could very well be one and the same, but we do not have that data and information. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Another question just came through, Jenna, that says, can you import emails via CSV or Excel to send people the peer-to-peer fundraising template, or do you have to manually enter and separate by commas?
That's a great question. Right now it is a manual entry, but if you have them in Excel, I guess I would recommend copying them out of Excel and getting them into, just reformatting into a comma separated list first, sort of external to the system, and then you can just copy and paste that whole chunk into that share. Good question.
I did have someone earlier ask about some of the donation fees or processing fees for this year. I am going to refer everyone to azgives.org/donations to find that information. I think it's helpful to see it in a chart form versus a written text form. So if you have questions about that, feel free to go there. There was a question about the neon rays and who owns it, like what product is it? It is not a Blackbaud product. Neon One is its own company, and they have their own CRM. So Neon One CRM and Neon Rays is actually their free version of their CRM system. So there is the ability, and there will be ability for you to integrate everything from Arizona Gives into the Neon One CRM system. And I'll be sending more communication out about that in the weeks and months to come. But for now, we want to get everyone used to working with Neon Rays and what that looks like.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and any other questions people have about peer-to-peer, about the new functions for listings for events, volunteer opportunities, or items needed? There's also the whole, Jenna, if you want to go to the Neon Rays dashboard, if anyone has any questions about KPIs, feel free to enter those and we'll try and get your answer or your questions answered. I'm not seeing anything come in, so it means that you told them everything that they would want to know. So question was, will an email come out soon inviting organizations to log in, create a login to their Arizona Gives Day? So Adele, if you already have your registration and your organization, we've been sending emails out since November about logging into the Neon One system. Getting into Neon Rays is you do that by logging into your Arizona Gives account there. So the answer is, we've been sending emails about logging in and getting your profile up to date since November. So if there's something I missed with that question, let me know.
And I can just add too, if you ever have trouble logging in, you can come to the login screen and just click password reset, enter your email address and send yourself an email, and then that'll allow you to reset your password and log in again and kind of, start over. So if you maybe missed emails previously or, forgot your password, really having any trouble at all, this is definitely the first route to try. To get back into your account. But like Jennifer said, once you're logged in, that's how you can toggle using that waffle between Rays and the Giving Day side.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming through. I'm going to take this time just to let everyone know we have a private Facebook page again this year for organizations who are participating. I'm dropping the information into the chat right now. we do have a couple questions that you do have to answer before you can gain admittance into the group. And the second part of that is that your organization has to have paid at least a registration deposit for this year to gain entry. We've got a lot more people joining every day, and we encourage you to actually share your own best practices, ask questions of your peers. That's what this space is for. We, of course, will provide announcements, things that are happening, good things to know, but we want to make sure that we're creating an environment where you can share with your peers and ask questions. We know that that's the best way to learn. So please do that. We do have another webinar coming up on February, I believe it's 9. And this one is called The Art of the Virtual Donor. So we'll be talking about maybe some key differences between meeting a donor in person at an event versus one who is online. You may never have the opportunity to actually meet them in person or have them take a tour of your organization. So it's really key that you find ways to retain that donor. So we'll be going over that information. We did have a question from Lori. If someone wants to put up a fundraising challenge or birthday through their organization, do they have to have their own login or donor account, as we've called them? Also, do we have the ability to make sure that it's legit and or edited?
Great question. So thank you for asking. So yes, similar to how it's always worked in the past, in order for someone to create a fundraiser page, they will need to create an account. That is a slight distinction from last year where the fundraisers have a separate login than donors. So if you're both a donor and a fundraiser, you would have 2 accounts. But when they click from your profile to start a fundraiser, they'll sort of design the page. And then when they go to save it as a draft or publish it, it just prompts them to create an account. So it's very similar, basic information, just their email and a password. And then they'll always be able to come back and log in to manage those pages. So the second part of the question is, will we have a chance to make sure it's legit? And yes, absolutely. So anytime someone makes a page for your organization, you'll be notified via email so that you're alerted that someone made a page, and that's sort of your prompt to be able to go in and review it, whether on the back end or if it's been published, you can view it on the front end. So in those cases, if you need to remove it, you could deactivate the page to remove it. However, you do not have edit access to be able to edit a page created by someone from the public. So it is, I think if there's maybe an issue that you'd need to work with, you'd contact that individual, and it's really an opportunity to engage with them, to 1, thank them for making a page, but 2, communicate any sort of adjustments or things you might need to change about it. Otherwise, you could deactivate the page, reach out to them, work whatever needs to be worked out, and then you can reactivate the page. So there are ways to do it. It depends, I think, on what, the quote unquote issue with the pages that you'd like to have changed, whether or not you would sort of unpublish it in the meantime. But yes, so the deactivation is certainly something you have. Editing the page directly is unfortunately not something that the system supports.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, but if you do have questions, please feel free to either email us, or we do have our support ticketing system now live on the site. That will be available from January through April. So if you go to the login page at the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a little support button tab there. Click on that and you'll be able to get your questions answered usually most of it during the weekdays is answered within 24 hours, often much sooner during regular business hours. So send us your questions, and we're looking forward to having all of you join us again this year, and we hope that you find these new tools and features extremely beneficial and helpful for your organization. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll talk with you soon.